Behind the Shades.
From the beginning, you mentioned that you're a stepmother
hmm
and you had your journey begin years ago. So take us from that point in time. How is it dealing with someone, with a child, a stepson,
Well,
who is going through that situation?
yeah, well, in our situation, it was a little bit different because when I met my husband, I actually told him I am not good with children, so that was already okay. But in our situation, it was immediate love at first sight with the kids, but it was also a moment where I noticed something was going on with my son. And we were kind of in a place, I don't know if any of your listeners or viewers have been to the Dominican Republic, if you have, but the medical, I want to say medical environment industry, whatever you want to call it over there, is not really the most educated or best in the world. And so there were a lot of struggles that we were going through at the time. And even though I loved these kids, and I have a stepdaughter as well, she's 4 years older, but it was not normal to me that this little boy who was four turning five at the time was always in the hospital and always sick, and nobody really knew what was going on, and the doctors couldn't tell us anything. The parents, I mean, my husband didn't understand. They had told him he had dwarfism, but there was more to dwarfism to what he had than dwarfism, because dwarfism just means you're little. It doesn't mean that. Basically what happened with Harvey is every time it rained, he was in the hospital. And I said, this can't be right. It has to be something else. So we started going along this process of figuring out diagnosis, looking at different doctors. Um, and we finally found a doctor in a city about 5 hours drive from us, which we went to, and we had to take some blood, and we had to send the blood from the Dominican Republic to Chile, which is all the way on the other side, basically, of Latin America, and get the diagnosis that he has a degenerative disease called MPS type 6. And so I love to share a little bit about MPS because once you understand it, it makes things easier. So basically, MPS is a condition in your blood where it doesn't produce the right enzymes that our body normally uses to clean cells or to clean tissues. So like you and I, if we're healthy, our body will automatically produce these enzymes, get rid of all the toxins, and then we just pee them out or get rid of them. My son's body doesn't do that. So over time, all the kids that have MPS normally get toxic buildup, and that's why it's called the children's Alzheimer's, which was very scary for us when we initially heard that, obviously, as to everybody it would be, because eventually these toxins, they accumulate in their brain, they accumulate in their spleen, they accumulate in their heart and their liver, and their organs just stop remembering what to do and will eventually shut down. And it was a really scary moment. And now, this is why I share, because even though we go through scary moments, there's always a light. There's always a way to figure things out. And even though it was in such a bad place, we said, you know what? We don't want this little boy to suffer. We want him to get the best possible, and we're going to do the best we can. And so, with a lot of research, with a lot of patience, we were able to find the MPS Society, and they helped us to get to Mexico at one point, where we were able to get medical help for Harvey. Now, the only thing out there that exists for kids with MPS is a treatment called enzyme replacement therapy. So basically, every week he gets enzymes injected through an infusion into his body, and it helped so much. But until we were able to get that, we had to move from the Dominican to Mexico. We had to find jobs, we had to find schools, we had to, get health insurance, we had to do all these different things. So it was a process of about 2 years. But it was beautiful, because once we were able to get him the help that he needed, he started flourishing, he started getting better, he started, his walking was better, his hair started growing again, his attitude got better. And it was so worth it to go through these struggles, but still find help for him in the end, which we were really fortunate for. And then in Mexico, eventually it got to the point where he was 13 and 14. And I don't know how many do you have kids, Terrain?
I don't have any children, but I will say I do have dependents, but it's definitely
Okay.
not the same. Yes.
Okay, no, but that's okay. But if teenagers, 13, 14, especially boys, start to go through all these hormone things and changes, and it's like, okay, we need more help. And the body starts to adjust and change and things like that. So we knew we had to get more assistance for him because Mexico was also medically not capable of giving more than just, that treatment. And so we ended up moving to the States. And here now, he's been able to get proper physical therapy. He's been able, we're able to have the right doctors that actually are able to give him more assistance. They were able to operate some hernias on him, give him a port. So a lot of problems that we had in the past, even though we were going through all these medical struggles, we still always looked at that light and knowing that what we're doing is for our son and what we're doing is to give him the best life possible. And even though it was a struggle for us, the parents, and for his sister as well and everything, we were so glad at the end just to be able to be here and have him healthy. And I think he's healthier than all of us together probably by now. So there was that light. But that also then got me interested in helping other parents because I realized just by looking at, not even just looking at myself, because when you look at yourself in the mirror, sometimes you're like, whoa, this is not me who I was 5 years ago when I started this journey. But also like looking at my husband, looking at other families that went through similar things and friends that I made along the way. I said, there's got to be a better way for the parents or the caretakers also to make sure that they're getting their cup filled before they continue to pour everything out into their families. And that's what got me then started on wanting to focus on helping moms, on helping other caretakers or even grandparents or dads who have a special needs child at home and who sometimes just feel way too overwhelmed with everything that you don't even feel like yourself anymore or you have any energy left for yourself. So that's what I do. I come in and I help with that energy and I try to help them then fill up their cup, because when we're better as parents, our kids will always be better and our kids will always benefit from that, or our dependents will always benefit from that, right? So that's my mission and that's my goal and that's the path that I am on now.
And I know it can be difficult sometimes for parents, or as you mentioned, caretakers, because we can get lost in taking
Absolutely.
care of our children, right? Or
Mhm.
those who are responsible for it. Can be an ailing parent, it could be an ailing partner, your
Whoever.
husband, your wife, whoever, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for him to go through this at such a young age, because from what you've told me and what you've shared, he
Mhm.
didn't have the typical childhood. He could, meaning that he wasn't out and about outside with friends, things of that nature. So how do you think that weighed on him growing up?
That was hard, and you're right to touch on that point. When he was younger, um, when he was living in the Dominican Republic, obviously he did have friends, he went to school, Harvey did all of that. But when we made it to Mexico and he started having struggles, he was in a wheelchair, he had to get into a wheelchair, for example, because he couldn't walk anymore properly, or we had to carry him around. It wasn't easy for him. And because of that, because it was, a new place, different people, not friends, having to make new friends, not being able really to go to school because of the restrictions that were there. I think if we would have been maybe in the United States earlier and he could have gone to school or been at an institution where they help children with those kind of needs, it would have been much better. We just weren't in that position right there. And so we had to make the best with what we had. And so we tried to, do interactions with each other. We tried to go out on the weekends and take him to the beach, even though, we'll just carry him. Who cares if he's in a wheelchair, right? We'll just put him on the ground in the sand. It doesn't matter, just to try and keep him that social and keep him interactive and keep him open to the world, because he's also blind and he's hard at hearing, going deaf. So it's hard when you have all these restrictions and you're like, well, what's the point of me taking him to a movie if he can't see the movie? you know, but it's about the feeling, and it's about having that family time, and it's about the attitude and the gratitude for it, because we're blessed to be able to do things as a family. We're blessed that we have, a movie theater to go to, or a beach to go to, or all these things, because there's so many people out there that don't. So I think that helped him a lot, is the attitude of gratitude a lot, because he is very grateful for everything, and he realizes that, yeah, I might not be able to walk, but hey, I love playing Uno, and I love my dog, and all these people are always around me. My grandparents live down the road from me. I get to play it's those kind of little things that I think have helped him a lot, to keep that positive mindset too going.